Hello, independent filmmaker here, Adolpho Navarro. I wanted to give you a little bit of behind the scenes and experience that I went through making the Alluring Frontier. A short film I just completed with a lot of moving parts and limited time and funds to achieve a quality at this scale. And we kind of banked that everything would align right and the weather would be fine on this one weekend. We're trying to shove in probably 14 to 16 pages in 2 days. A lot can get done in a couple of days if you prep, and more prep. I've been directing and writing short films since I was a kid, and being an independent filmmaker with micro budgets or maybe sometimes no budget. With my experience, I always kind of look at a target. I always make that target, and then when you throw that dart, your production you feel like is gonna go all the way here. You're hoping you're gonna hit that target, but along the way, it's gonna hit some winds and you're gonna end up skewing all over the place. But as long as you bring it back and focus and hit that target, everything works out. So as long as you hit that target, it might not be a straight line, it might be zigzaggy, it might be all over the place. It's the challenges and issues that actually make you grow as a filmmaker and adapt to any challenges that might come your way in the middle of production. There's always something that pops up or something that's always gonna make you have to, think on the fly and adapt quickly because of just the limitations we have with really not a lot of money to make this film. My experiences in the past, I used to do a lot of 24-hour, 40-hour, 72-hour film festivals, which are done within a couple of days. And before that, since my sophomore year of high school, I was making 2-hour-long films for about 10 years. So I learned a lot about structuring stories on no budgets. I felt that if I applied myself to keep doing what I love and learning from each project, I could only get better at the craft. It wasn't about how many projects I could do, which at one point was reaching around 100 films, but instead, it was about how I could apply what I learned from each project to the next one. So I figured this is a great opportunity for us to push the boundaries of what we're usually used to doing and actually see how far we can take it within a certain amount of time. And let's push it. Let's push what we can do in 1 or 2 days. I knew for this project I had to cut in half the normal amount of takes I usually like to do for my films, just to be able to make the time to finish the project. So I knew I was going to have to be the main cameraman for this entire film. Because getting my vision out as fast as I was having to move in this schedule, I knew that was the quickest way to get things accomplished. And I knew I was going to do all the visual effects later on in post, so marrying the two together worked very well for this. I was working with the casting director to find more people to be in the film, but also working with a makeup and prop designer, as well as making my own props for a lot of the scenes. Then also with my film, I put a horror element where people will turn into Gulcher demons. Finding out the look of what these demons are going to look like. So the trick is trying to see what we can do within as much daylight as we can. There's not really any scenes at night, so that's another challenge, and how fast we can apply the makeup to each character when they turn. I knew we had enough money to pay for the location for the couple of days that we needed. So when you make a Western film, there's a couple of things you really want to try to get right, and that's the location and the costume to make it really feel like you're in a period piece. So with that, we took a lot of trips to Goodwill. We were lucky enough to have our costume designer find a lot of great costumes already in their theater program that were able to help us out. As well as a lot of people donated a lot of stuff from there, what they already had and what the Goodwills they were already finding. We were able to find all our costumes for every single character in this film, and we ended up having around 40 to 50 people in this movie now at this point. I actually wrote the script to that location, and I used everything that they have for us available to use and structured a story all around that to maximize the strength of what they have to offer to help out the story. We open up with a man breaking through a wall in the cave and finding this knife that ends up, catapulting this entire film. So I figured, why don't we just make something out of mud that we can just break to pieces? So a lot of trial and error, and all we did was duct tape this thing to the tripod, and we had to hold it with our other hand so it wouldn't fall apart.
If you step in that wrong and slip, you're gonna... Ah!
Trying to.
There's a storm coming.
Set dust, please. More. I swear it comes out easy.
You swear?
You good?
Yay!
You might have little pieces of me on there.
So the location was generous enough to give us the day before to kind of take everything there, prep, and set it up. Just not shoot any video. And that was great because I was able to go over everything that we talked about and rehearsed and blocked. Here he comes in. sees her, they address each other for a moment. She walks out of the scene to come to you guys, but we're just gonna let her walk off shot. He's gonna go this way, and then she kills him and hits you with the ball. You fall down, you're gonna crawl, take him. Cool, so I just want to keep you on the same page.
Okay, awesome.
Call time was 5 a.m. because I realized we're gonna need to start as early as we can.
That's right.
Even if the sun isn't out yet, let's go ahead and light the scene as much as we can to simulate the sunlight. We shot for the first couple hours and things were going really well. I was further along than I thought and actually was ahead of schedule. But that did not last and I knew the storm was coming. All the other extras started coming. There was about 30 people. I'm starting to go a little bit over time what I wanted to allow for these scenes to be shot. And I had already arranged to have one horse walk through when the actors is going to walk through to the middle of the town on. Complications occurred, we weren't able to use that horse. So with these things kind of piling up within a very short amount of time, and you almost feel like you're in quicksand, the more you try to move, the further you go down, and the more behind schedule you get. And it kind of concerned me, but I knew if I just push forward, put everything else to the side, we'll figure out a way and start just adapting to the challenges, that we were going to be okay, because we had to keep going to be able to hit the rest of the marks of the different times and different scenes we still had the rest of the day. One of the actresses turned into a demon and she breaks through this door, so we had to get this door ready from Home Depot that I made. Doused it with baby powder.
That was excellent.
So I'm going to be a little bit short because we are behind schedule. What I knew would happen because we're really making a really awesome film. I'm trying to shove in the 2-day that we got. So there was a lot of the film that we were hoping to do that first day that we weren't able to even touch. So by the time we actually ended with the saloon sequence, the day was almost done. Stay there, guys, stay there. Be eating him, please. So I addressed the cast and crew and kind of said where we are with the film at this moment.
I still have to do some of this tomorrow to finish that, okay? Then I'm going to reorganize tomorrow.
So for the next couple hours, we lit it up like it was daytime, and we shot the rest of the dialogue scenes for the next 2 hours because that saved us from doing it the next day. So after the 14-hour workday that we ended up doing, I went back to the hotel. I knew I had to come up with a new production schedule for the next day. What do we need to execute first as a priority and go down the list? So I had a production schedule for day 2. And I pretty much had to just throw it all out the window and start over. So I started jotting down what we still ended up needing to do, as well as what we need to focus on to make sure we complete this film, because we have 1 day and that's it. So I free-handed an entire production schedule for the next day, and we went down the list and just scratched things off as we go. And that's what we did. I had to make sure I was confident and I knew that we would finish, as well as I knew that everybody else was on board and they're ready to roll. And I had a lot of support, so we all worked together and collaboratively made day 2 an awesome experience. And we were hitting all the marks. We were getting a lot of shots done. We were getting a lot of scenes completed. We were staying on track and it was going along very well, which brought my confidence factor up, and I realized we were actually going to finish this thing.
Do I have your real skin? Can you feel me pinching you? I do, don't I?
I think it's gonna go. Run.
We were all on the same page and very efficient, and we all trusted each other to just bring great quality work to this film. We put all our chips on the table and called the sun's bluff as it was closing in on completely setting behind us. So I hit cut for the last time on day 2 at this location, and we had finished the film with 15 minutes left in the day. There's no way we would have accomplished this movie at this location if everybody was not in tune with each other. We were all pitching together for the costumes to some of the makeup. We raised enough money just to cover the bare necessities of the location. I mean, if you really think about it, everyone involved with this project was volunteering their time. And that's the great thing about filmmaking, that you can share your passion with other passionate people, and look what happens. You accomplish great things on little to no budget. We're all there just to make the best film we can. And I've done a lot of short films, but this one was very special. I felt that we all were there to have fun and just make a movie. And at the end of the day, I really felt comfortable saying that we hit that bullseye.
I'm alive! I'm alive from the dead!
All of a sudden, we started to hear some noises from the brush, and there was about 4 or 5 of them, these wild horses walking through our scene. So it was awesome because I felt like we ended up getting our horses at the end of the day. And there's no way you could have planned that. And that was a wrap for The Alluring Frontier. And anybody up and coming making movies and thinking that there is a limitation to a creative idea, I basically set out for a story and a scale that was a little bit bigger, but we prepped and adapted and figured out a way to accomplish it. And a lot of things you could not prep for and you could not plan for, and it just happens, and you make the best of it, and you find a way to turn it around to help the project. You can think about things being just challenges. Keep a mindset like that. I think accomplishing big things in filmmaking with small budgets to no budgets, it's possible. Passion and creativity has no limitations. Filmmaking is not easy. You have to be able to be passionate about it, put 100% into every single time you say action, but also have fun. If you enjoy telling stories, go out there and tell your story. And have fun.
Calm. So if you were losing it on the inside, nobody ever knew.
That's
Just
right,
saying.
right? I mean, so with that, that's how we accomplished our short Western horror sci-fi film, The Alluring Frontier.
May have to trim you up a bit, but we'll make you fit.